Hey tankers, this is Zem from Shrike Gaming, and today I've been thinking about doing this video for a while, more along the lines of, you know, this is World of Warplanes. For people that don't know this, this is the redheaded stepchild of the Wargaming line of games. This was released 3 years ago. This was the second in line behind World of Tanks. When they released this actually had followed a little bit behind War Thunder. War Thunder had actually released their airplanes first, and this followed shortly thereafter. And when it first came out, it wasn't a good game. I remember playing. I think I only ended up playing like 12 games in beta, and I was frustrated with it because it was almost impossible to control with the mouse and the keyboard. And it didn't do real well. It had low numbers, and then tragically, Wargaming did some very crappy patches that pretty much killed the population in the game. And it's kind of suffered in me. It's kind of suffered since. Most people's idea of this game is from 2-3 years ago, and it received a number of bad reviews from online YouTubers, specifically more along the lines of Jingles, and a few others that gave it a real crappy review. Some of them are almost 2 years old, and they were comparing it to, they'd all been playing War Thunder, so this was, War Thunder's at the time of launch was a better game, especially if you watch their videos of it, and it suffered from that. And at this point, this game is down. Here we have players online is about 326. But then again, it is 1 o'clock afternoon on a Monday. But I'm doing this video is more along the lines of for even if you're not terribly into planes, or if you're thinking about playing some game that you want to have a flight, somewhat of a flight arcade game, and especially if you're playing tanks, being that this game and all of Wargaming products are a unified account, and this is more unified even than the warships, because this actually shares gold and XP with tanks. So, and then the point of the video here is, as a tanker, playing warplanes is actually a good thing, because I actually didn't know this. I had not played this game in better part of almost 2 years when I decided to come back and give it a try when I was getting tired of tanks. I wanted something a little different. Tanks were, causing me headaches, and I was kind of burnt out of it. So I decided I want to try something different. And warships are, it's a good game too, but it's a slow paced. It can be very slow paced. So I decided, well, you know what, let me fire up old Warplanes. So I re-downloaded it, and lo and behold, there's a couple of surprises that I found when I jumped in the game. And one of them is what they call a token system. And in this token system, if you do 150 tokens, you can get 30 days of premium, or you can get one slot in your garage in World of Warplanes. Now, the token system are based on daily missions. You have to complete them 1 through 4, 5 through 7, and 8 through 10. And if you complete all of them, this one gives you 1 ticket. And this one gives you 2 tickets if you complete the destroy at least 2 enemy air fighters or attack aircraft, or 4 enemy AAs in one game. Or in this one, this Freedom Fighter, you get 3 once you complete all 3 of them. So just doing the daily missions will give you 6 tickets. Now, you also get a ticket for shooting down 5 aircraft in any tier, and you also get a ticket for shooting down 9 aircraft in any tier, and you also get a ticket for doing 80 superiority points of damage to ground targets in any tier. So that gives you a grand total of 9 tickets a day. So now think about that. Now, if you're a tanker and you're having a hard time, say, you can't afford it, or you don't want to spend any money on the game, but you still want to use, have premium time. This is by far the easiest way to do it. This gives you a chance to gain premium time, even if even if you don't really enjoy the game, I mean, just simply popping over here for a game a day or a couple games a day and getting one or two tickets, you know, uh, it's a free month premium, right? The other thing about this game is that they do an anniversary thing uh, along the lines of, for example, this one right here. I win a standard battle, I get a bonus free experience, free XP for the first victory at 2,500. Now I can make more free XP in this game than I can even hope to in World of Tanks. This is one of the reasons why I really started playing this game more, is because you can literally build your free XP much quicker in playing planes than you can in tanks. Like I said, just by even just doing just by doing these anniversary things, and the higher you go, the bigger the XP is. This is a tier 7 plane with 2,500 free XP. This is a tier 6 with 1,800. So I mean, just simply by playing the game, I think I had 1 month of almost 20 some thousand free XP, and I think I only played like maybe 10 days. You know, it builds XP very quickly, free XP very quickly. And like I said, it's surprising that Wargaming has never mentioned this to the tankers in general. Is that you do get, there's several benefits to playing warplanes that benefits tanks. And it's kind of a Wargaming's fault, I guess, that they don't want to try to draw in some more of their people that are already playing their games. But that's Wargaming for you. I guess we're not going to delve too much into that. Now the actual game, this ain't game right here. This is actually one of their plane I just won. They had December missions, and the December missions were like, I think there was like 34 missions or whatever, and at the end of them you got a free tier 8 premium plane. But there was also several missions in there that you got free, free day experience, free day of premium. I think there was several of those. There was free gold, free XP. All that stuff was just for simply just jumping in game and playing a plane above tier 4, I believe, and all that stuff once again transfers over to World of Tanks. And this game they give away a lot of free stuff. There's always something going on, trying to keep players playing the game. So there's always something going on to get free shit. And there's just the other day I picked up this plane here. I'm not even sure what I did to get it, but I happened to be sitting here last night and just happened to notice that I had another free tier 3 in my garage. I'm not even sure what the missions were to get it, but I got it. And like I said, they they do reward you very well for playing this game. And it's whether it's free XP, whether it's free gold, free any of that stuff. There's a bunch of free stuff here that can be utilized in World of Tanks as well. The XP and the free gold. But besides that point, and if everybody's not even familiar with this, obviously this is a typical wargaming interface. You have your hangar, you have a tech tree, you have upgrades that you can buy for your plane. You have a paint shop that you can add different camos to the exterior of your plane. There's all kinds of different little extras that you can do to your plane, just like in World of Tanks. The crews are typically there's only one crew member usually. Some of the attack planes, some of the heavy fighters will have two crew, and these actually are very similar to World of Warships, where they use a skill point system, and you're not necessarily grinding a like BIA or none of that stuff, but you actually earn points, and then you can pick your skill points. So like this is a Mosquito. This is a tier 7 heavy fighter. Actually looks like the tech tree. When I first played this game, there was actually, if I remember correctly, there was only maybe one line per nation, and now they have several lines that actually the tech trees have filled up pretty nicely. We have the fighters, the heavy fighters, the multi-rolls, the fighters, and it's a couple different lines of multi roles. And then we also have, of course, our premium airplanes. The USSR, actually in this situation has two sets of ground attack planes, where they only have one multi-role. The Americans have two lines of multi-roles. Germany is also another one of them with two fighters, heavy fighters, and then two lines of attack aircraft, and one line of multi-roles. Japan just added another tree to their tech tree. The UK, once again, they're filling the trees out, even though the game is still relatively dead. They do still add content. The China and the France, of course, are nothing more than just straight up premium airplanes. Will they continue to add? I think they will. I don't necessarily. This is part of their wargaming trilogy. I don't think this game is ever going to die as long as tanks are still going or warships. So I don't think there's ever going to be an actual end to this game. One of the early complaints about the game was the graphics. The aircrafts in general are not bad looking. I've only run this thing, I think, on low and medium. For the for graphic the graphic wise, and like I said, you're playing a game. I don't know really. If I'm up in the air, I'm not really caring what it looks exactly. If I can see the grass on the ground, I think some people got a little carried away with that whole. The graphics look like crap because they got down close to the ground, and well, the fires didn't quite look the way they do. I don't know. It's never been a big deal to me, and I've never really cared. The actual airplanes look good as far as I'm concerned. And then, of course, there's people that are going to play this to War Thunder. Well, 6 months ago, when I decided to pick this game up, I also picked up War Thunder at the same time. And after playing the two, War Thunder is a great game. Don't get me wrong; it's a fabulous game, but it's a different kind of game. To tell you the truth, if I'm going to play an arcade flight game like this, I prefer World of Warplanes over War Thunder. And people are like, oh, it's so stupid that they have, hit point bar. Well, then why are you playing tanks? Because that's the same thing. They have their hit point bars. It's an arcade game, you know. And even in War Thunder, they said, well, there's no hit bar or whatever. Well, yeah, you can't see it. You still have to do damage to modules on an airplane, right? So they don't have the bar right there that tells you it has 320 health. You know, it's kind of it's a dumb argument to make that War Thunder doesn't have that. Well, yeah, they do have it. You just can't see it, right? So the realistic battles in War Thunder are great. If what's the one thing I really don't like about War Thunder is the games are very lethargic compared to World of Warplanes, especially in the arcade mode. I mean, typically these games on World of Warplanes, 5 minutes, and they're very quick. They can be very brutal in that sense. There's not a lot of dicking around, flying all over the place. It's pretty much just straight up combat, and the winner wins. So, that's that's the upside of it. It can be brutal to new players too. Obviously, if you're starting on this game, it's not always the easiest game to pick up so quickly. Obviously, this is a tier 1 biplane. This is what you start out with in the Russian line. Every line has a little something different. The Japanese is a monoplane. Type 91 is the starting plane for the Japanese, and they progress on all the way up into some very odd designs, such as the BF 109Z, which is a tier 7 heavy plane for the Germans. Like I said, there's a little bit of everything. If you look, like I said, once you look at the tech tree, by the time you get to tier 9, tier 8, tier 9, you're obviously starting to get into the jets. So, which is kind of a different style. Ooh, look at this. You don't get that in World of Tanks. That's my anniversary present right there. So, but yeah, anyway. So, like I said, I've played both games. If I'm going to play an arcade game, I prefer this because of its very quick gameplay. I mean, you're not, like I said, you're not flying around it. That's the thing is I always found a problem with War Thunder. I like the game, but it's much more slow paced, and it's kind of a darker game. With the graphics on this are a lot lighter, so it just seems to me, a little bit a better game, at least in the arcade mode wise. So I was gonna probably play a bunch of games here to give you guys an idea what the gameplay is like. I guess I'm gonna jump in a few here. This is actually one of my anniversary planes right now. I think I might get 800 XP if I win a certain number of standard battles, and we'll give her a shot. It's also, like I said, with the lower population, the lower tiers, typically 1 through 5 through 1 through 6 roughly. You usually get a little bit better, a little quicker matches. When you get a little higher up, depending on you could wake up to a minute. I think the longest, I think, kicks you out at 2 or something like that. But typically, most games are, especially in the lower games, are you're usually in within a minute or two. And since they have the lower population, the wargaming has actually added bots to the game. And in this situation, in this part of the game here, we have typically just one name, no numbers, no nothing like that, but just a name. These are typically bots right here. These guys obviously are real people, but yeah, you can typically tell by the beginning of the game which is a bot and who's not a bot. So, like I said, this is some gameplay. This is just a tier 3 game. You obviously have a boost. I think, like I said, the planes look nice. Uh, it's obviously, like I said, I'm running on this low to medium. Uh, you know, this is essentially not full on the highest setting that you can play this game at, and the games are relatively simple. The meta is climb, get to altitude. The heavies play up high. Fighters, multi rolls, usually try to get high, or they play essentially further down, using their speed to turn and whatnot. Uh, it's, it's it's a little different. Like the ground attack planes, they typically head toward the bottom to, of course, shoot at ground attack planes. And this one, there's actually mostly ships. So unlike World War or War Thunder, this game actually uses an overheating mod instead of using um, where you run out of ammo. You instead actually overheat your guns, and it lets you essentially stop. You can't just keep spraying and praying. Of course, the cooldown of the guns depend on what you're shooting. Since this plane has mostly just machine guns, it takes a long time to overheat and relatively quick time to cool down. Like I said, the gameplay is relatively easy. I mean, it's not over strenuous. You stay up high with your heavies. You play this multi-roll like this airplane right here. Obviously, it's a very quick turner, and you want to stay down relatively quick. And of course, they always go after the low hit point airplanes, of course. Um, so that's just a random tier three battle playing a tier three plane. Um, Most of the times, there's only a tier one to two tier spread, so it's not like you're going to be fighting sabers or Me-262s or anything like that kind of stuff. So the spread is usually pretty good. And it's lovely to see that our bots are deciding to once again even out the game a little bit, in my opinion. They have a tendency to do that, like that one you just watched nosedive into the ground. But so the game is roughly based similar to World of Warships. You either kill everybody or you have superiority points. And where in Warships you have 1,000 superiority points. This one's based on the number of players playing, obviously. So you'll see the superiority bar on the top continue up. You don't actually have to shoot all the planes down to win. Ground attack planes can continue bombing targets on the ground, and that also increases your superiority points for the win. This is actually a HA-137. This is a ground attack plane. Their job is to essentially shoot at ground attack objects, either whether this one is a ship transport. There's also battleships that they can shoot at. There's also other ground targets that are on land they can shoot at. Things like that. So there's a little bit of something for somebody if you don't necessarily entirely into actual fighter combat. You can obviously play these planes here. This is a heavy attack plane. For some reason, who's down on the deck shooting on ground targets. Typically, these planes should be up at extreme altitudes and doing this essentially a zoom and a boom, taking out targets. But this guy is Fire Frog. He's actually a human, so no idea what he's up to. But anyway, so as you see, we are our superiority points are increasing over theirs, and eventually we will win the game once we hit the end of the bar, whether or not all the airplanes are shot down. And like I said, this is a typical tier 3 game. Nothing spectacular. It is what it is. So like I said, and I'm not trying to make this video to make a bunch of conversions, but I really think that most tankers don't get the bonus that they can get from playing World of Warships. I don't think they understand, or probably don't even know of some of these things. Like this stuff I didn't find out until about 6 months ago when I actually sat down and played the game, and really started to understand what was going on. And like I said, I pick up a lot more. Just the free XP, the free gold, the free month of premiums and what. I have 161 tickets, and I think this is my second time at over 150, and I think the first time I spent most of it on garage slots. So, but and like I said, once you start picking up doing the daily missions, and it doesn't take long. If you figure even if you just did the daily missions at 6 a day, that's 180 a month. So it's pretty easy to keep yourself in the premium time just by playing this game. On whether how many times you got to play it. Obviously you don't have to play it every day, but there is a bonus here that I'm just surprised World of Tanks hasn't tried to broadcast. Let the some tankers know what's going on. And I really do enjoy the game. Like I said, after not playing it for 2 years, having a horrible time in beta, and coming back and finding out that this game really isn't that bad. It's actually improved a great deal since when I played it in beta. It's here's one of my favorite tier 8 premium planes. This is actually a An ME-109. And it said this was essentially if the ME-262 would have failed, this would have been the airplane that would have been a successor, but it never actually went into production. But I anyway got off track on that deal. Like I said, this game, it's a good game. It really is. It's a good arcade game. If you like arcade games, if you like Crimson Sky, you like Ace Combat 4, you like those kind of games, this is very, it's a good game. It plays very similar to those games. Um, like I said, I'm not knocking War Thunder. War Thunder is a great game, but like I said, if you prefer a pure arcade game or an arcade shooter, this is a very enjoyable game to play. So before I keep rambling on, I hope you guys have a good day. Check out our other videos. I have some other videos on our YouTube page on World of Warplanes. If you guys want to check that out and see what that's all about, give her a like and check them out. All right, you guys have a good day. Thank you.